She runs away as the dog barks at her. While in the Uber, she calls Emily asking to meet her that. Cecilia waits for her sister in a restaurant, nervously looking at the empty chair. When Emily arrives, she tells her about what she found in Adrian's house that would prove that he's still alive. Suddenly a knife is floating midair, killing Emily. In the next moment, it's in Cecilia's hand. A patron in the restaurant screams and everyone freaks out, moving away from her. Cecilia is pinned down and arrested. She's taken to an asylum, screaming that she didn't, staring at the empty corners of the room. She says that Adrian killed her sister and that she knows he's there. She's sedated and left alone. Footsteps are heard heading toward her, and the word surprise. James and another detective are interrogating Cecilia. She says she has proof about Adrian, but that she can't tell them what it is because he's in the room and they can't see him. The other detective leaves and she asks James if he believes. She says she feels guilty, but James feels guilty in his own way too. Later, Cecilia is talking to a doctor who tells her that she's pregnant and that it happened sometime in the last month. The next day, Adrian's brother comes to see her in the asylum. He's there to tell her that since she's been brought up on criminal charges and potentially ruled mentally incompetent, she's lost the right to Adrian's. She belittles him, comparing him to his narcissist sociopath brother. He tells her that she has two options: to sign the document and forfeit the money, or to have the baby and go back to Adrian. He offers her a new life with Adrian. In one phone call, she refuses and steals one of his pens. When he isn't looking, he tells her he'll come back in 3 days for her final decision. Later that night, after the orderly checks Cecilia's room thoroughly and leaves, she goes in the. She takes the pen and as she starts to cut into her vein says, "You won't get the baby." Suddenly the invisible man grabs her hand and she stabs him with the pen repeatedly. The security guard walks in, but sees the damaged suit. He goes to shock the invisible man, but that he turns the stun gun back on the guard. Cecilia runs, but is quickly stopped by 2 guards. They're taking her back to her room and the man appears again, killing them more. Keep coming and suffer the same fate one by one. Completely unaware of what's happening. After killing the last guard on that floor, the man drops the gun. Cecilia runs after him and takes it. She chases him to the stairwell and shoots after him. They both leave the facility and go outside in the pouring rain. Cecilia is looking for him with the gun on hand. She hears a noise and goes after it while security guards are after her too. Close to her is an open trunk, so she approaches it assuming he's hiding. He grabs her suddenly and starts strangling her, telling her that if she doesn't comply, he'll hurt the one she loves. Like Sydney, Cecilia goes after him again, but when she gets outside of the fence, the invisible man speeds toward her with his car while she shoots at him, causing another car to crash. Cecilia steals that car and goes after him again, relentlessly while driving. She calls James and tells him to go back to the house and protect Sydney. The invisible man arrives at the house and goes into. She wakes up and gets the pepper spray out of her bag. Since she can hear him moving, she sprays him and then he falls over. She runs away screaming, but the man grabs her. At that moment, James arrives at the house, so the man just starts attacking him. Instead, Sydney begs him to stop beating up her dad. When suddenly Cecilia arrives and blasts him with a fire extinguisher, then shoots him dead, she goes over to the body and takes off the mask, only to reveal that it was Adrian's. A tactical police unit is seen going through Adrian's houses. Cries for help are heard from inside. The police tear down a wall in the basement and find Adrian tied up. Later, James tells Cecilia how he was found, but she doesn't believe that he was his brother's victim. James tries to convince her, but she believes that Adrian set his brother up, making her feel like she's the crazy one. That night she goes back to the house. He's waiting for her, pleased to see her. She's not as pleased to see him. They sit down for dinner, and he's trying to be vulnerable with her, apologizes to her. Sandy has learned his lesson. She wants him to admit to everything that he did, but he keeps swearing that his brother was controlling him. Cecilia persists in asking for his admission, and meanwhile, James is outside the house listening to every word the two are saying. As she's crying, Adrian comes over to comfort her, but falls back to his controlling ways again. Cecilia goes to the bathroom to clean herself up and he's seen waiting for her at the. After she's been gone for a while, he becomes restless and suddenly kills himself. After a moment, Cecilia comes back and immediately calls the emergency services. She pulls away in the blind spot of the security camera, sits down, and watches him die. James comes running toward the house after he heard what's happened and finds Cecilia leaving. She tells him that Adrian had killed himself, but James sees the suit in a duffel bag she's holding and asks if she planned it all along. Cecilia doesn't answer the question. She walks out of the house, leaving everything behind. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.